All right, we are doing CSS battle. We have, I don't know what this is today. Some sort of, I'm just going to call it a flag. I don't know. Uh, Traditionally, I've done fast first. Last few days, I've been trying to do it kind of more like I think someone newer to CSS battle might approach it. I'm going to try that again today and see how it goes. So, how would we do this thing? Well, we have a thing in the middle. Well, we have a thing in the very middle. It's surrounded by a thing. That, to me, looks like an element with a border. Uh, the what I'm calling the background, there are a bunch of ways to do that. When I initially see it, my immediate thought is conic gradients, which new players are going to think that's strange. It's a good way to write squares that repeat on a consistent basis. Maybe you will do that today. We'll see. Another thing that comes to mind is border image here. I'm terrible at border image, but it seems like it would be able to make this shape. The other thing that we can probably do here is corner shape. Corner shape. I think that's it. Uh, yeah, those are kind of the ideas I have for that. This, like I said, looks like something with borders. Okay, we're gonna do this kind of in the very, I mean, could you use flex for this? Yes. I almost never would use flex for this. Like, I don't even know how it should change if I were using flex. Could you do it? Sure. Is it a logical way to do it? I mean, like I said, I'm sure you can do it. I'm going to use more of a kind of old school fixed style approach for this one. So I'm going to have I'm going to start with like I said, old school fixed style. I'm going to have an item here, an item here, an item here, an item here, and an item in the middle. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divs. So that's how many I need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divs. Okay. Most of my divs are going to be styled similarly. That's not what I meant to do at all. I don't know why I'm doing that. Talking and trying to type definitely doesn't work. I'm going to have a selection for my div. Most of my divs are styled the same way. They're going to have a background of this brown color. They're going to have a height of, I don't know what it is, 100 pixels. We're going to have a width of 100 pixels. Height. Yep. Oh, I see what's happening. They're all stacked in a line right here. The other thing that they're all going to have is they're all going to have position. I'm going to say absolute for now. We'll talk about that in a minute. Absolute. Okay. Now all of them are a square in the same upper left corner of the window. One thing that you have to figure out is that the body element has a default margin. So you have to fix it. So say margin 0 on the body, or you have to place everything 8 pixels outside where they're normally going to be placed. For me, it's easier just to turn that off. Height's not high enough. Let's try 120. Width isn't width enough. Let's try 130, 140. There we go. There's the first one of those. Um, After that, we need a way to kind of place them. So we're going to use attribute selectors for that. I went over this yesterday. I'll go over it again quickly. So the normal way to do this would be like have class equal, and I'm just going to call it A for now because whatever. And then you would write dot A and whatever you want. So in this case, you would put right 0, and that would move that one across to where we need it to be. So that's where we want it to be. Writing the word class repeatedly in CSSBattle is frowned upon because it's a bunch of letters that aren't necessary. They're traditional, but they're not necessary. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the word class. We're going to get rid of all these quotes, and we're just going to have div A. Now down here in our selector, we can actually use an attribute selector and just wrap the A in, a set of square brackets, and it becomes an attribute selector selecting attribute A. So that's how we do that. Then we're going to have a B, and we need to have a B div, which means that we're going to have a C div, and we're going to have a D div. So B is going to be, let's make it right 0 and bottom 0. That puts it there. Then we need C. C is going to be just bottom 0. So that gives us our background that we need with those divs on in all the corners. We need another selector. We need a deselector. And this is going to be for this box in the middle. It's going to be different than the others, but that's okay. We're going to put a border on it. It's going to be, I don't know, 50 pixels solid blue. Its height is going to be something like 10 pixels, 20 pixels. And we can start trying to move it into place and see what's right and what's wrong. So we're going to say top 80. Looks too much, but we'll get it closer. Let's say left 80. I don't know. Let's turn our diff back on. All right, top is too much top. Let's make it 70. Left is too much left. Let's make it 70. I think the height is correct. I think there's not enough border. I think the border's 60. 70. 70 looks right, but I think it's too wide now. Width, 100. 10, 120. Now we just need to set background to white. And I'm cheating. I'm not using the full 6 number white. I'm just using 3 because it's CSSBattle and it's cheaper. That looks right. Let's submit. Okay, and we have a score of 607. It's a valid solution. Nothing wrong with this. Again, techniques to shorten things. Height and width do not require units. Neither do all of these. Border does. Height does not. Width does not. All right, so we got rid of units there. Another thing that we could do, let's try here. Nope, that doesn't work here. Oops, that doesn't work either. Okay, I don't know. Instead of having these, I thought that worked here. Evidently not. We could replace the divs with paragraphs. It's going to be faster for me just to replace them all because I can't figure out the right selectors on. All right, so we need 5 paragraphs now. The last one's going to be D. This one's going to be C. This one's going to be B. This one's going to be A. Now, instead of this div selector, we're going to have a paragraph selector. Now, something's not right. What is it that's not right? Let's put an outline on here. We have some default margin on our paragraph, so we have to get rid of it. Yeah, we have to get rid of it. So that cost us some characters, but it made us some characters. One thing that we could, in theory, do is make that star selector, and then we don't have to turn margin off because it's already turned off. We use star selector, that selects everything. So that turns the margin off for us automatically, including on the body where we needed to turn it off. We can also, instead of saying absolute, we can say fixed. It's functionally equivalent for the purposes of CSS Battle. Yeah, those are the basics of like cleaning that up, shortening that. Also, in CSS Battle, you don't need closing elements for paragraphs. The browser kind of just assumes you screwed up, and so it auto closes them. So it's just another way to save characters. Is it good code? No, it's CSS Battle code. So it's good for that purpose. So here's a way to do that. This has got us to 357 characters unminified. We can load our extension, which has a minify tool, which will get us down to 223 characters. Minify, submit, prettify. This is not terrible. Not terrible. Is it the way I would do it? No. So let's start with that. How actually do I want to do? I would do it, or I want to do it fast. I don't know. I don't know if there's a difference. I don't know. I'm gonna try some stuff. All right. So I'm gonna start with the background bit, the 4 brown squares on the white, or the white cross on the brown background, however you want to think about it. Um, there are a few ways to do that. I'm gonna start with gradients. So I'm gonna select ampersand, which is basically the HTML selector. I'm gonna say background. I'm gonna say conic gradient. And I'm going to say transparent for 75% and brown for 25%. So that gets me, you can see kind of this shape. It's the right shape. It's not the right size, but it's the right shape. So to make it the right size, we need to use at, and we can put it at, and I, of course, don't remember the numbers. I'm going to start with 100 pixels, 100 pixels. So that's where that puts the thing. So now we need to position it in place. 140, I think it was, and 120. Yeah. Okay. There is that thing. Now, we could write another conic gradient that would do the one in this corner, and then one in this corner, and then one in this corner, but that's not efficient. So what we're going to attempt to do is force it to repeat. And force it to repeat, we're going to use background repeat. Basically, we're going to force it to repeat on an interval that we want it to repeat. So when you're using the background shorthand notation, which is what we're doing here, basically what we've said so far is background image is that. And then we would say background size, I think. And background size would be horizontally, it's going to be, that's 140, it's 200 pixels. All right, that's not enough, but that's okay. And we're going to say 200 pixels again. All right. That said, the size of the background is 200 pixels, so it's going to repeats on by default, so it's going to repeat that. So we need the horizontal repeat to be more, maybe like 250, 260. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good on the diff. The vertical repeat is too much right now, so we're going to change that to 180, and that looks pretty good. Now, like I said, we're doing shorthand before using just background instead of background image. So what we can do is we can actually combine these into the shorthand. We can say background is the background image. Oops, there we go. Is the background image. We have to have a background position. We're going to say 0. And then we have to say a background size is that. And then we'll see if we can get rid of this stuff. And that doesn't quite work. Why doesn't it? Because the position has changed. Horizontal position didn't, but vertical did. So we have to have 0, 0 to say the position of the background is 0 horizontal and 0 vertical. So it's combining those. It costs us a little bit because we have to use position where we didn't before, but we don't have to use the words image or size. So it's shorter overall. All right, there is the background part. For the blue square, I still think, I mean, there are some other ways to do it, but border, and again, we're using border shorthand here. Border 60 pixels, solid blue. Whoops. Boy, I'm just making it worse. Okay. The way I wrote this, I use star selector so the border's applying to both the HTML and the body because I didn't nest it inside the HTML selector. Now I broke it because I forgot that. Now I put that on. So now we're better. So now we're going to start just margining this into place. So margin on top, 80. That's not right, but not terrible. 70. And then maybe not enough border. Yeah, 70 on the border and then 70 on the margin. And then it's happy, I think.
Starting narrator.
Oh,
Scan.
don't do that.
Narrator window heading. Exiting
There's
narrator.
something I hit. Control Win, maybe? Maybe that's what I hit that starts narrator. Anyway, we have to submit again. All right, so that gets us 168 character solution, non-minified, which is better than our other minified solution. So, better. We can also unit replace to get rid of like the pixel values and replace them mostly with other values that'll work. 70 is not easily replaceable. Sometimes you can get away with 74Q. Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes 75Q, 75 looks better today. Yeah, 74 wasn't happy. I bet 75 is. Yep, that's okay. One other trick that we can do here is, and this is, again, getting into character battles. We have 25% here on our conic gradient, which is true, but the conic gradient technically doesn't care that it's 25%. It can be 0. It could be 35%. Doesn't really matter. It just needs a value so it works because this one's already 75%. Also, the other trick that I used here was using 4 zeros for transparent. I could have used, oh, that'd actually be better. 3 zeros for whites. Less expensive than 4 zeros for transparent. That's usually not the case. In this case, it is. So that saved the character. 75Q. Maybe we can substitute some colors. Probably not. Anyway, let's minify, submit, critify. So we're down to 100 and should be down to 116. The other option for the background is a border image. Well, yeah, not for the background, but for making the part that I'm thinking of as the background, the HTML, is you could technically do a border image there. I'm terrible at border image. But let's try something. I mean, this is, by my last few day standards, this video is fairly short. So let's see if I can screw it up. So we're going to say, all right, if we're going to do border image, there's a thing. I have a thing. I need a new window. Bookmarks. There is a border image visualizer thing that can be used here. What I have it set up for is not what I want, but it's something. we're just going to do a conic gradient that is this color. And we're going to reset all of these to 100. And we'll set the outset to 0. And we'll set all of these to percentages, I think. What if it's like 40? That's not getting better. Okay, that's something. Okay, that's roughly the shape that we're looking for, right? So we have squares in each of the corners that are the brown color. And then the middle color is just transparent. I think that's the thing I want. Let's come back over here and say, we can say that's all we need to say. Oh, semicolon. Okay. All right. We're right but wrong, which, I mean, that's okay. Can I make this bigger? 40. Let's try the other one. 40. There we go. 30. 5. Okay. That looks like what I think I want. And that is less characters than the previous one. Let's minify, submit, prettify. Oh, the colors, okay. I'm like 32, 32. Why am I repeating this color? They're not the same. One more trick that we can play, I don't know if it's going to work here, is we can cheat with colors sometimes. So I'm trying to scroll this out from under my head. If our background is white and we need this color, we can use these as kind of shortcuts to maybe get there. I don't think it's going to work today. That's a far enough away color. Oh, you can kind of see it in the preview. I bet the background or the back end is not going to be happy about that substitution. This tells you how far away it's going to be from the color that you're looking for. And yeah, it's not happy with that. And the blue, because it's covering multiple things, you're not going to be able to use an alpha color for. All right. Yeah, that's what I have today. Finishing with 91, that's 75Q. Yeah, I don't really see anything else I can clean up easily. Might be able to get rid of one parentheses. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. If I put this here, still 91. If I move that down to there, it's 90. So when we minify, we're going to get rid of all the stuff on the end, and we can get rid of one more parentheses if we do it that way. So I'm just going to hit the minify button, submit. Yeah, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.